Hi, this is Deidre again, giving you a little update on my latest lucid dream that I had the other day. This actually took place 2 nights ago, and I tried something that I've been hearing a lot of people in the lucid dreaming and OBE community discuss, and that is when you start progressing with your practicing, instead of just having fun every night and flying around in your dreams and things like that, and doing fun things. It's a good idea to try to locate your spirit guide and ask your spirit guide, if you're so lucky to find that individual in your dream, what your life purpose is. So first off, I'll tell you about my kind of chaotic night. I did try to lie down on my back again, like a glutton for punishment, and needless to say, that took a long time. Unfortunately, it took me a really long time to fall asleep. So that was my frustration for the night. Now, I normally do go to bed a little late, and I am a night owl, trying to get to bed a lot earlier these days. However, I turned in at about 1:48 a.m. I know, that's pretty late. And it just took me forever. Now, normally, as I said before in my prior videos, that I usually don't have a problem falling asleep. Normally, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm out like a light. And, pretty much sleep soundly like a baby would. However, for the past, I guess it's, I don't know, maybe been the past 6 weeks or so. I'm not really sure. I haven't been counting per se, but it's been a little bit more difficult for me to fall asleep. I think it's because maybe I've been sleeping longer, or just had more erratic hours, or just not been sleepy, when I would turn in. And anyway, therefore, it took me so long to fall asleep because I just wasn't feeling sleepy the other night. And you normally can feel that heavy feeling behind your eyelids, but it just wasn't coming. So in the interim, I tossed, I turned, I got up, I did some things I wasn't supposed to do, such as eat, and yeah, I had some cinnamon and raisin bread and things like that I really should not have been eating, especially at that hour. And now what I did do was I took the advice of someone on YouTube, and I took 2 vitamin B6 pills, supplements. I mean, I don't know if that really has anything, any bearing on your lucid dreaming capability, but I was willing to try it. I had it on hand, so I said, why not? So I took that, and I believe I also had some tea with some wormwood, mugwort, and that hadn't been really doing anything. It hadn't had any effect on me the other nights that I used it, but I usually have some on hand, so I said, why not? Well, anyhow, I did not fall asleep until about 6 a.m. So it was pretty much right on the dot, 5:53 a.m., somewhere around there. Now, at that time, I had gotten, not frustrated, but I just said, you know what, forget it. If I don't have an out-of-body experience, if I don't astral travel or astral project, that's fine, as long as I have a lucid dream. and I went to sleep on my stomach. And that's okay because I knew that I wouldn't have any trouble falling asleep, at least quicker on my stomach, and I would at least have a lucid dream. So, mind you, I said I fell asleep somewhere around 6 a.m. And I woke up again an hour later. When I looked at my cell phone again, it was about 6:54, 6:53, something like that. So it was pretty much like an hour almost on the dot. So within this time, I had a lucid dream. I want to say it was an out-of-body experience because I became so lucid that I was talking, but it was pretty much just a very lucid dream. So the dream started out as just a normal dream, just a regular dream. I wasn't lucid for the first few, I'll just say for the first scene, because as we know in dreams, time is irrelevant. Something that seems like it's taking a few seconds may actually be taking 30 minutes. You just never know. You don't know how much time is passing by. So the first part of the dream was kind of irrelevant. I believe that the things that were contained in the dream had to do with things that I was worried about in my waking life, and so there were elements of those things. But as the dream progressed to the next scene, that's when I became lucid. And with that, I entered into some building. I was like outside, and I entered into a building. I opened up one door, and then I came in and opened up another door, and I was in some building. And I encountered 3 different men. I don't know why, but I encountered these 3 different men, and I started feeling a little fear because I wasn't fully lucid yet. I was becoming lucid, and it was like just kind of like me in the building, and there was one guy. I guess they didn't know one another. There's one guy, and then there's another guy, and they each started kind of talking to me, saying whatever, nothing of relevance. But the third guy, he was kind of walking alongside me, and I did start feeling a little fear before I became like really lucid. But then as soon as I became lucid, I realized, oh, okay, I have control over this dream, so I can manipulate. I don't really have to be afraid. So I just kept walking, and I was talking to him about God knows what, and for like a few seconds. And anyway, so I became pretty lucid then, and you have to do a little experimenting in your lucid dreams, of course. So at this time, I would say I was maybe about 85% lucid. So I had forgotten about my purpose before I fell asleep, which was to try to contact my spirit guide. So this guy in the dream, he was kind of weird, and but anyway, I did do like some little kinky thing. Okay. Anyway, I had to throw that in. But yeah, but it only like for a second, and then I had to get serious, because then I started becoming more lucid, and I realized, oh, you know what, I gotta get my purpose done and accomplish my goal in this. So as soon as I thought that, I was immediately into a new scene, and I was standing at the top of this broad stairwell, like staircase. So I was at the top of it, and I became like, I guess like 100% lucid. So at that point I was like, let me get down to business. And I really wanted to contact my spirit guide. I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask. Of course, what's my life's purpose? And even though I don't believe you have one life's purpose, I believe you have many purposes, However, I also had a personal question that I wanted to ask. So I stood there, and I just kind of like, stopped in my tracks, and I was like, I want to I want to speak to my spirit guide. And as soon as I said that, this lady came walking up the steps, and not that this is, I don't know if this means anything or not, but she was like a darker brown skin lady, and she had on this really pretty, like light colored, I guess like beige dress. It was really pretty, springy, dress. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. However, so I was really, really happy because I was thinking, oh my God, I contacted my spirit guide. So I was really happy, and she was really happy. So I hugged her, and she was hugging me, and we were just all giddy, and and I was so happy. So then we started walking with one another, and I knew that I had to keep the dream going. So I didn't want the dream to end, and so I had to keep that energy up, how it is. So I wanted to make sure that I made as much use of my time with her as possible. So, and I wanted to be really nice. I'm going to give you the specifics, like some other details later, because they're like kind of irrelevant, but I'll just throw that in just so you'll know the scenery of the dream. So we went around like a corner, and so I don't know if I was holding her hand or if we were still hugging, each other and walking. I'm not really quite sure. But so I started to ask her, like, it was very nice and, and patient. So I was asking her, so what's my life's purpose? But then I stopped myself, because first I wanted to ask her this personal question. It's a deep question. So it's quite weird. So I'm not even going to mess with that right now. I'll talk about that later in another video. Something that's been nagging me like for most of my life. So I started to ask her that question, and so then she sat down, I sat down, and the things that her responses to my questions were kind of odd. And the other thing is, I could not, she wasn't very audible. So I was kind of like almost straining to hear what she was saying, but I didn't want to like get upset or anything or become impatient. So I was like really nice and patient, and and soft spoken, and so then I asked her, so I couldn't really get my answer to that question. So I went on to the next question. I was asking her, so then we were lying down, like I guess on some bed or something, I don't know. And so I was asking her, so what is my life's purpose? The great question. And again, it was hard to make out what she was saying. And I was like straining. You know how it is when you're talking to somebody and you're like, what, I'm sorry, what did you say? I didn't quite hear you. It was like that. I really couldn't make out what she was saying. And the other thing, okay, here's the other detail, which is, I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but she had like, her teeth were kind of bad, like when you have calcium buildup or fluoride buildup on your teeth, like white stuff on your teeth, it was like that. It was like not really bad teeth or anything, but it was like, I don't know if that had something to do with like my own psychological thing or insecurities. I have no idea, but I don't know why. But at that point, I really didn't care, because I was hoping that I had actually contacted my spirit guide. So I was like, that's irrelevant. Kind of like when somebody encounters an angel in real life, and the angel turns out to be like some homeless person or something, and you're like, oh, forget about that, just tell me all the details, give me all of the wisdom that you got, that sort of thing. Anyway, so I kind of like turned my head for like a quick second and turned back, and then this woman turned into a this is so stupid, but she turned into a different woman. It's really weird. But she was still lying down on the bed. So she turned into a totally different woman. She had a totally different dress. she had on like a really pretty dress. This is probably irrelevant anyhow, but it had these pretty flowers on them and everything. And but anyway, the woman was totally different. Actually, the woman was not, she was a white woman at this point. It's so bizarre. Just a weird dream. Anyway, but so again, I just wanted to focus on this person being my spirit guide, and so that didn't even matter that I all of a sudden I'm speaking to somebody totally different. But so anyway, I had my hand like on her dress or whatever. We were just talking, you know, and so then I proceeded again, and I was asking, so what is my life's purpose? And the same thing happened. She was talking, and she was interested. She seemed very interested in, you know, talking to me and revealing things to me, but I could barely make out what she was saying. So after the dream was over, you know, after I woke up, you know, an hour later, and I'm thinking about, I was very happy actually that after all those hours of not falling asleep, that I finally at least had a lucid dream. I was at least glad about that. So, but I couldn't keep the dream going. I actually started feeling it, you know, fading out, and I couldn't keep that energy going. You know, I'm still trying to get, you know, good at keeping the dreams long and keeping the energy up and all of that. So, so I did feel myself pulling out of the dream, and again, I was on my, you know, in real life, I was lying down on my stomach. So I just, you know, came out of it. But what I was thinking was, you know what? Neither of those dream characters were my spirit guide. It couldn't have been, because I could not make out what they were saying. Like I could hear them, but it was fading in and out, and I just wasn't getting you know, clear answers. And the answers that I did get just didn't make much sense. Like, you know, kind of weird dreams. I mean, weird responses. So all I'll say is this, that as we continue each night to practice, we will become better and better at reaching our goal of the dream, of each dream. As with anything, you know, your methods, your tactics, your, you know, your goal, the specific goals you have in mind, your ability to focus in the dreams, your ability to prolong the dreams, and your ability to manifest the type of dream characters that you want, and the scenes that you want in the dream are, you know, important, but they will change, and you know, you'll get better and better. So I know I will get better and better at this. So I know that eventually I will contact someone in my dream, whether a spirit guide or an ancestor, or someone, or even my higher self, that will give me the answers that I'm looking for to, you know, some of these you know, questions, deep questions that I have. And you know, you just have to keep practicing. Now the good thing is we're not being graded, you know, for our for the content of our dreams. We're not, you know, the only person that's going to grade us is us, and we're not even grading ourselves. We're just, you know, we just have to keep rooting for ourselves and be persistent. So for me, I've always been a, you know, highly interested person in dreaming, because as I said in my other videos, for most of my life I've gotten prophetic dreams, you know, precognitive dreams. So at one time it was like every night I would get dreams, at least one dream that would show me something that was going to occur the following day, you know, just little things. And so me my sleep state, my dream cycles, and my dream environment, my sleeping environment, such as, where I sleep, whether it's quiet or not, who I have around me. Pretty much, I don't want anybody around me when I am in my, sleep. And I used to be a more deep sleeper. Of course, that was before I became a mother, but for any parents out there, you probably go through this same thing, where before you became a parent, you were able to have, really deep sleep and sleep through storms and all of that. But after you become a parent, somehow you don't sleep as deeply because, I don't know, it's something in your subconscious, that keeps you on alert, to make sure your kids are okay. So, but I'm very serious about my sleeping and my dreams, the content of my dreams, and even though I haven't been getting as many prophetic dreams or precognitive dreams, in the past, I guess, past few years, this area of my sleep practice is important to me because it's a different sort of sleep practice. It's not just looking out to see, what dreams are going to come to me. It's me manifesting things in my dreams and looking for wisdom and knowledge in my dreams. So I'm going to keep updating you guys on, not only my lucid dreams, but my out-of-body experiences. And you just never know from night to night, or even day to day, if you take naps, what sorts of encounters you're going to have. So when you do go to sleep, if you just want a lucid dream, I mean, it really doesn't matter what position you're in. Like I said, I fell asleep right on my stomach, and I could have just as well had an outer body experience on my stomach, because I had one before, had two, at least two, where I was not on my back. So, as long as you're comfortable, it can happen. And everyone is different. So anyway, but that was my experience. So just play with your dreams. And as far as the dream characters go, you can pretty much manifest whatever dream characters you want. It just depends on what you're looking to do. But as far as a lucid dream where you're encountering different people, these random people, that you have no idea of their identity, purpose, or whatever, just let them be there. You don't have to get rid of them, but if you don't want to interact with them, you can surely move on. Just because a dream character approaches you or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there in their company. If you don't, just like in real life, if you don't like someone's company, or if you don't really care for that person's company, just leave, move on to go somewhere else. The good thing about dream characters is that, if you really don't like the person, you can slap them, punch them, kick them, like yell at them, get out of my way, you could, or you could just say, I'm sorry, I don't want to talk to you, and see what happens. To me, it's fun. I think it's just fun to have these encounters. So anyway, that was my experience, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the next video. Let me know what you thought about this, and if you've had any similar experiences. As far as the spirit guide, I'm always online looking, to see what people are talking about. The spirit guide thing, that I just was learning about that recently, but it is very interesting. And if I can encounter someone who has knowledge in my dream that can give me answers to questions I've been wanting answers to for years, I'll be a happy camper. So anyway, thank you guys for watching, and comment, subscribe if you would, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.